Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 74 of Two Goalies, One Mic. Proud to be presented by Outlet Liquor. What's your outlet? I'm Johnny Cullen, back from a lengthy delay. Joined alongside Dwayne Stein, as always, and producer Steve. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good. Dwayne, I think you're muted. So we have.
I am muted. That is the word is lengthy, not lengthily, lengthy. I was actually yelling it as we were sitting here muted.
So. Feels good to be back. We are here live right before Game 5 of the Sabres season. That sees us sitting, boys, where I don't think record-wise we thought we'd be. 3-1, coming off a loss to the Bruins. Where looking back at the game, guys, I obviously not thrilled with the result, but outside of that early mistake from Dahlin, which Dwayne, me and you were talking about, you never want to go down early, especially against a veteran team like that. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like to break that down really quickly to start off. We get ourselves in trouble. Dahlin goes to Butcher. Butcher goes right back to Dahlin as a lefty right there. And the one camera angle, you can see we have a winger high up on the half wall. And Bob Bugner said it best, when in doubt, glassing out. You just throw that puck up your forehand, take the simple play. You heard Razor talk about on the broadcast that, Marchand didn't, pressure the first time, pressure the second time. But, you can't put yourself in that spot, especially if you're the franchise top pair defenseman, right? That's an avoidable play. You put yourself in a hole early against a great team, guys. And I think when you see, and going back to the 3 wins we've had early success and had a nice bounce back shift after that, but couldn't find a way to get one home until 5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, I think so. It was that one power play goal.
I mean,
no, you're not wrong.
Go ahead.
No, one of the things that stuck out to me the most in this game was you didn't look out of place, right, Carl? We didn't look out of place. I mean, I think the biggest difference between both teams, and I don't think I'm being rude by saying this, is, one team had elite level talent and the other team didn't. I think that's what the difference is. There wasn't for a lack of trying. It wasn't for a lack of being prepared, because every single game so far this team has come out like they're shot out of a cannon, ready to play. Granato has them prepared, which is something that we're not used to seeing over the last couple of years. And it wasn't effort had nothing to do with this. Systems had nothing to do with this. At the end of the day, you have elite talent on one side making great plays for their team, and we just lack that right now.
And you've seen, well said, and you've seen it in this team. The way we're going to win hockey games isn't with that elite level talent. It is with a full 60-minute effort. Pardon the cliches, but that's what this team is. Until we get things sorted out with Eichel, or we, see our young guns and Cousins and a guy like Skinner getting back to where he was, or Middlestat take that next step, is going to be winning games the old-fashioned way, for lack of a better term. And, we were just talking about it off air, Steve. Love to see what's going on in the pipeline. You have Paterka that had a great showing today. Him and Quinn had a couple. And then who was the other one that got the goal there, Steve?
We had a goal from the king of flow himself, Mr. Linus Weisbach.
I love
Mr. Weisbach ripped the 5th goal for the Amherst this afternoon, which as of this second is actually 6 goals in favor of our boys in Rochester. So that's a 6-3 win, 6-3 lead over the Marlies with about 7 minutes left to play. Oh my goodness, almost 7 goals just right there. Holy moly. Jeez Louise. I love it.
Hey, and I liked Paterka's camp. I liked him in World Juniors 2 years ago. I like to see the development out of Quinn. It's going to be interesting to see, what Granato and Adams' plan is for them. Moving on to tonight, guys. Dwayne, your thoughts heading in tonight. One quick note, we do have an NHL debut. And we'd be remiss as two goalies, one mic, in the name of our title of our show. We didn't talk about Nico Dawes getting the start tonight, his first NHL game. you got to think about what's going through his head. He did play in the Ontario Hockey League, as Dwayne knows that I'm a alumni of.
You played for the O?
You played in the O, dude? I didn't know.
No way.
Here's the cool thing. He's dual citizen, Canadian and German. Decided to play for Canada at the World Juniors. Wasn't their starter, but anyways, getting to represent your country at the U20 tournament always a big deal. Won goalie of the year, I think, that year in the OHL, maybe the whole CHL. He's a guy with a lot of talent. It brings up an interesting storyline with the Devils goaltending. You see they have Wedgwood backing him up tonight. But what is it? Mackenzie Blackwood not able to travel to some games due to his refusal to take the shot and get the vaccine. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens to them down the line. Another interesting note, no Jack Hughes. Dwayne, what does that do to that team? Because he was so fun to watch last year, Hughes was, and being an American hockey fan, hate to see him on the sideline. Tonight, like to see him not on the ice, but it's tough to have a player of his caliber not in the lineup.
No, it is, man. But as a hockey fan, you want to see Jack Hughes play because you want to play against the best, right? But as a Sabres fan, I mean, hey, this team, as we mentioned earlier, there is a big lack of talent when you go head to head with a lot of other teams. Even the teams that are expected to finish in the bottom league with us, teams like Vancouver and Arizona, they still have, in some shape or form, higher level talent. And we have a lot of guys on, either entry level deals, making 1 year $750,000.
$750, baby.
Yeah, the 750 club, right? It's I'll take games like this where I can get them against a rookie goaltender, against a Jack Hughes-less New Jersey Devils team. Let's go, fire me up. Let's try and go 4-1 here, right? I'll take these wins when we can get them, because honestly, I don't think I'm being out of line here saying that what they've done so far, I don't think it's very sustainable. Eventually, Craig Anderson's 40 years old. As good as he's played for us, he's gonna run into a wall here or there. You know what I mean? And then your backup option is Dustin Takarsky.
Yeah.
Nothing against him. He's like an ECHL, AHL level.
You're gonna need wins out of Takarsky if this is gonna be sustainable, right?
Yeah. Would you agree that out of any backup goalie in the NHL, if they start 10 games, you'd like 6 wins?
Yeah, I think 60% is a good number.
100%.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, no. I've loved what I've seen out of Anderson so far. A guy that went into Washington last year in more of a mentorship role. That's not easy. He came out and he said it. He wants to prove not only to himself but to everybody. But you always, as a goalie, you guys know, you want to prove it to yourself that you can still be the guy. And I think that he had that opportunity here. And we saw that in a couple games early on. You got to make this. Here's the way I put it. And this is why I haven't been on the show. I've been doing, running my own goalie business. You got to make the saves you're expected to make. You got to make 1 or 2 that maybe you weren't, right?
Bail your
at the
team
end
out.
of the day, I hate to use cliches, but you just got to give your team a chance to win. Yesterday, going down early, we didn't see that, and I don't think this is a team, Dwayne, like you referred to, and Steve, you as well, that with that lack of elite level talent, we don't have a David Pastrnak, right? I don't think we have a Jack Hughes right now in our lineup.
Not at the
I think
moment.
we have some budding players like Dylan Cousins. But going back to the 750 thing, Dwayne, the one thing I like about what Kevin Adams did, and I haven't had a chance to speak with you guys about this, is our team speed has went from mediocre to, I'd like to say, top third of the league. And you can see that in the neutral zone play. Dwayne, you talked about that early. Is that a coaching thing in your mind with Granato, or is that just a roster that just everybody can move?
I think
No, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the moves were made specifically in mind that they want to compete with some of the. They know that they may not be able to out-talent some of these teams, so as long as they can keep up with the pace of these elite talent team games, they're still physically in it, and then they can also on the scoreboard as well be in it. But also, it does seem to be a Don Granato thing, because one of the most noticeable things that we've all kind of collectively in Sabres Twitter land noticed is that Kyle Okposo is, no longer 2 to 3 strides behind every single play in the game. He is in it. He is right there where he needs to be. He looks like he's slimmed down. He looks like a healthy Kyle Okposo, which we haven't seen since we picked him up. So I really do think that something Donnie's doing in that locker room is, being communicated to the boys that it's like, this is a fast game and everybody's got to be ready to get in it. And if you're not, there are plenty of people over in Rochester that'd be willing to take your spot.
Well said, Steve. And me and Dwayne went at it about this, about who had the keys of the locker room, per se, last year, early in the year. And with Eichel being gone and Sam being gone, which breaks my heart because I love Sam. But I really think Donnie has handed this group over to say, hey, to a guy like Kyle Okposo, who, let me just say this. We go back 3 weeks ago. Who thinks that Girgensons, Okposo, and Bjork is going to be our most consistent line? Right? We get laughed at. But they have done that with like consistent team speed, being heavy on the forecheck, and like you alluded to off air, Dwayne, just more free-flowing play through the neutral zone. I don't know. Is that how you would put it? I would say,
like, we talked about this before we went on air, is that it's in the neutral zone, and to me is one of the biggest differences outside of being prepared and effort, yada, yada, yada. Before last year, we were getting beat a lot, like really cleanly in the neutral zone on their zone entries. We weren't putting up much of a fight. We were on our heels a lot. This year, it's a completely night and day difference. Buffalo is really clogging up that neutral zone, not allowing clean zone entries. And then another thing too with our zone entries, it's night and day again. You're out into the zone. You're getting that first pass into the neutral zone. It's more often than not this undisrupted, and you're able to set play whether you're dumping it in or you're stopping at the blue line and setting things up and setting the tone for that particular puck possession. And it's just that's one thing that stood out to me the most is just like this team is just like we get punched in the mouth and we're not turtling. We're getting back up and we're punching back.
Go back to last night. After we give up that goal, one of our best, I think, sequences was those next two shifts, right? Going back to Dwayne, what you said, you get punched in the mouth, you punch right back. I think the game would have been tied up right there. I think Hinostroza got a little too cute on one of those plays. Skinner missing it on another. You guys remember what I'm talking about? I think right around the 14-minute mark of last night. But Dwayne, I think that goes back to Donnie and what culture he's trying to create with Kevin Adams. That hey, listen, we know who we are. We're not the Boston Bruins. We're not the Colorado Avalanche. We're not the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning of the league, right? If we're gonna win, it's gonna be because we have a consistent, heavy forecheck game with team speed, with limited turnovers and dumb plays on our own end. And I hate to go back to Ralph, but listen, there's going to be structure in every game of hockey. I've had the fortune of being in pro locker rooms and at that level, and there's structure at every level of hockey. But you saw and you heard us talk about a ton last year that it almost felt like the players looked handcuffed at points last year, right? And I think those shackles have been released, and I think Don Granato deserves a lot of the credit. Now, it's funny to see Mark Pysyk back in the blue and gold. He was my stallmate at rookie camp the year I went. Really great guy. Awesome to see him back. Tough injury though to who am I? Come on here, boys. Yoki Haru. I think that stings, and for a reason, because what we saw in those first couple of games, or that first game with him and Middlestat. I would love to see them back in this lineup immediately, right? Because I loved what I saw from them. Steve, any thoughts on that, losing those two and the effect that might have on what we're going to see here coming up tonight?
I mean, it's definitely hard to lose some of the – for a team that is a little bit stretched thin, it is hard to lose some of those more top-end guys in this roster. Yoki Haru being the good cop to Darlene's bad cop, Darlene's going to go do something silky and dangly in the in the offensive play, and Yoki Haru, Yoki's got the line held down, but without that partner, he's playing on the he's playing on his opposite side, and he's still doing pretty damn good. I mean, he's Darlene, But that said, I mean, obviously the finishing power of this team has always been coming into question, and we've been seeing Casey Middlestat since Don Cornetto took over, just ripping them home, and not having that around is
it's disappointing. It's
definitely it's definitely hurting the top end of the team for sure. But thankfully, when they went out, they said it was going to be at least a couple weeks. I would imagine at some point, like maybe after that Tampa game next week or later on, we're hopefully going to get a nice update, to let us know, they'll be back at practice soon. They'll hopefully be playing by the weekend, or this is actually kind of bad. Maybe we should be worried. Yeah. So I'm going to wait until I hear some sort of official update on the situation before I get too panicked. But thankfully, we got a roster full of really hungry kids who really want to prove that they have a purpose on this team and a place at the table. So, when one goes down, another can fill in.
We're seeing that effort. How many times last year, Dwayne, did we come on and it just was fucking frustrating, pardon my French, that the effort wasn't there, and it looked like we didn't have that give a fuck, and I don't know if that was a factor of Ralph being, players being fed up with that, but look at a guy like Akposo, him having some success here, right? Early on. Look at a guy like Gergensen. I know he was injured all last year. I think that we're seeing players play hungry more. And when you have a coach that you believe in, and I've been through it, as a goalie, you can see it throughout the roster where guys are going down and blocking shots. And you see that with guys like Kajula and Hinestroza. I think they've done a terrific job. Love the Asplind Olofsson connection. Want to see what your thoughts were there on that, Dwayne.
I was big on Asplind coming into camp because I felt he was one of those glue guys. You know what I mean? A guy that you could really throw out there in any situation. He's not going to hurt you. A player that we kind of sat there and put players like Larry on a pedestal. He's over in, I think he's in Arizona now. Put him on a pedestal for the things that he did. I believe is he in Arizona now, Steve?
Yes.
Yep.
Larson.
Larson, yeah, and but the thing is, you had so many guys like that could do what he did to maybe not the exact same extent, but to the same degree, already in your system, and what guys are making, like we said, $750,000 a year, and might have a bit better scoring ability. Your Rustalainen and your Asplinds, guys like that, and I've really loved what I've seen out of that 70s line. They create a lot of jam. I've seen a lot more from Tage Thompson too. Tage Thompson. One of the things that stuck out to me most is, he's not overhandling the puck much anymore. That was a thing that made me tear my hair out of my head last season. Just overhandling the puck in small spaces. He's using his size to his advantage.
His boots are getting going a little bit more too.
Yep. And one thing last night too is he had a couple golden opportunities. One of which he was sitting right on the doorstep. The puck comes right to him and just bounces right over his stick. It was just like you took a swing at it, but you can't control sometimes a bouncing puck. It's unpredictable, especially that close into the paint. And that right there could have been the difference last night. But that's kind of how the story was written last night. Is the Sabres analytically, and I know we're not all big analytic gurus, but your expected goals for the Buffalo just dominated it. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I remember looking at it this morning. It's like, man, they really took it to the Bruins. They outshot them. The everything athletic, your Corsi and your expected goals for, you were leading those categories last night. But sometimes, and that's where sometimes analytics can't really give you. It gives you kind of like a guideline for how this player is in these situations. But puck luck is a real thing. It really is. Luck is a real thing.
You live and die by the controlled chaos that hockey is, Dwayne. Couldn't said it better myself. You live and die by that, right? A puck bounces when it shouldn't. And that's the one thing that analytics can't account for. Is there a place for analytics in hockey? Absolutely. Is it an end-all, be-all? No way. No chance. But going back to one thing I wanted to mention, okay? Liked, I don't want to say liked. I've seen more out of Skinner than I did last year, and I can understand why. Having that fresh start with Donnie. Loved Cousins' play. This
Yep,
guy's been
Cousins.
driving the puck. He's been driving the play. He's got elite level talent, and I think that listen. I don't want to delve too deep into the Eichel situation right now. I'm sure you guys have in past episodes, but in that locker room right now, you got to think that. And again, to use the cliche, me and Steve were talking about it beforehand. You got to think a guy like that is stepping into a situation where, hey, I got my feet wet last year.
It's a tough spot too.
Yeah, this is a league I belong in, and now I'm the first line center. Now going back to Tage in the middle, not sure that's where he's going to end up long term. And going back to when Middlestat comes back, that's when I'll truly be able to give an evaluation on where I see this forward group moving forward. But let's face it. You got a lot of guys that are on league minimum contracts that are hungry and prove it deals, which I love because it creates that accountability that Don Granato talks about all the time, and we're seeing that. Now on the back end, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. I know Miller jumped into play and contributed on the one goal last night. Personally, I don't think Allmark played that well at all. The one knee, I don't think Olofsson meant to shoot there. Maybe he whiffed on it. Maybe he didn't.
He made it easy for him.
He played that terrible. But and was it Cousins that had the wraparound attempt that went
off the back of his foot?
Yeah,
it went the back of his foot. Yeah, that was Cousins. Yeah. Like you said, Cousins had a great game last night. He played with a lot of energy, a ton of jam. He was shot out of a cannon. That was by far the best we've seen him play going back even to last season. Because let's be real, his rookie year, as some of the things that he did that was impressive on the score sheet, he wasn't showing up a lot. And I expect him to be one of those guys that shows up a lot on the team that we do have this season. And last night, if you keep getting efforts like that, the goals are come, the assists are the points are going to come. And going back to your point on Skinner, that goalie score was beautiful. You love to see the smile back again on Jeff Skinner's face. Whenever Jeff Skinner's having fun, probably means your hockey team's playing well. But I think one thing too, again, you mentioned before, we got Tage Thompson playing at center. Probably not the spot he's going to be in all season, even though that's the kind of size you want in your center. I mean, it kind of shows you do need that number one. You do need that number one playmaking center for a guy like Jeff Skinner to be consistently showing up on the score sheet. Right now, we just don't have that.
Well, let's go back to what the Devils were playing tonight. Without Jack Hughes, we're looking at Azaka, Hischier, Bratt line, right? Like Correct. A similar situation to what we're dealing with. And I think that, I don't want to compare us to the Devils, but we're in the same kind of perpetual bottom of the league lottery pick situation, missing the playoffs. They're missing their guy in Jack Hughes. We're missing our guy in Jack Eichel, two completely unrelated situations. So I think this is going to be a very competitive game tonight, and it's going to be a fun one with Lindy on the other side, right? Like,
yeah, always
you guys got to remember too. Lindy drafted Lindy and what's his
Darcy.
Lindy and Darcy drafted Mark Pysyk. So there's some history there too, right? Like,
was that
100%, dude, because that's when the camp I went to, Pysyk was there. That was his draft year. He was our first rounder that year, and Lindy and Darcy were still there. That was their last year.
That's wild.
They did draft him. Isn't that wild?
That's wild.
So, I mean, listen, the New Jersey Devils are going through this something similar that we're going through, albeit two completely different situations. And I don't mean to get into the Eichel stuff right now, unless you guys do. But looking into the game tonight, I think the keys for me are anytime you have a guy making his first NHL start, Donnie draws up his game plan with three key points. You win the first 5 and last 5 of minutes of every period, right? You make life extremely tough on this guy by getting traffic and by throwing pucks on net early and often from all places and making him make the saves rather than looking for that pretty goal, which I think hurt us early last night. Thoughts on that?
Yep.
That was always a symptom of last season, the Sabres trying to make that perfect play rather than just making the play that they had the capacity to make. And there were so many opportunities that were missed because somebody just wanted to make that extra pass or wanted to hang on to it for a second too long to see if anything opened up. And then all of a sudden that opening that they had would close.
Right away, Steve, it's that Hinestroza 3-on-2 right after the goal. I know, and you go back
hung
to
on
that
to
play.
it a little long.
Do we score on that? I mean, who knows? But if you get that puck to the net tonight and a guy in his first NHL start on a struggling Devils team without their best player and their captain, I mean, that's my point.
You got to cause a lot of havoc in front of the net in front of this kid, man. Like you said, his nerves are all over the place right now. You know what I mean? I don't know what it's like to play in the NHL or any high level hockey, but I could only imagine, dude. He's probably shit about 6 times today. He's got the nervous shits, 100%.
Wayne, did you slip X-Lax in his pregame meal?
Honest to God,
Wayne just got back from Newark on
Nico Dawes is shredding the Reddies, boys.
Have we all seen the movie Creed with Apollo Creed's son with Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah.
You remember the scene? Remember the scene of that first fight? He's getting all taped up and stuff like that, and then the guy comes oh, it's time, and he's like, yo, you gotta take my gloves off. And everyone thinks well, dude, you're gonna be fine. It's like, no, dude, I got to shit right now. I got to shit. I got to poop. That guy's probably pooped at least 6 times today. I say it's
I mean, I know it's his first NHL start, but I do watch a lot of AHL games because I really like following those Amherst. And they did play Nico Dawes when he had a start for the Utica Comets last weekend, and that kid looked sharp. I don't know if that was his first AHL start, and I know the AHL and the NHL are 2 completely different beasts. But this kid, he was making bailout saves when he needed to make them, and he was where he needed to be when he needed to be there. So I
on that, Steve. He's a big guy that moves well. He's had success at every level he's been at. And with those big guys that tend to play deep in their net, you have to create layers of traffic. And you're right. Listen, they wouldn't be giving him a call-up start early in the season if he hadn't deserved it. In that Utica game you go back to, I'm sure that's a part of it. Looking at his numbers for right now, he had 1 game, won the game, 2 goals allowed, and a .926 save percentage. That's earned him. That's the only game he played this year. The game that you saw. So listen, that's enough to earn yourself, especially with what Blackwood's going with, and Wedgwood as the other guy. That's enough
Blackwood
to earn
and Wedgwood, a lot of wood.
Oh yeah, love it. I love.
You'll have to get some good wood on it, boys.
Good wood. Get the good wood on it.
Piece of wood. No, my thoughts on this. Listen, never got to play at that level. The only thing I could compare it to was my first game with Team USA in Prague with the drums, and I may or may not have had diarrhea, Dwayne, but I do remember just wanting to get settled in and get that first save, right? And I don't know if I speak for all goalies, but you know what I'm talking about, in that, it's like any other 60-minute game that you've ever played, but you just want to get comfortable in tracking that puck, whether it's a shot off the rush, whether it's a low to high play. You just want to be seeing the puck. But it goes back to my game plan of, I hope that Donnie's instilling in these guys that, hey, let's get to the net, create layers of traffic, and let's not pass up shots. Because we've seen for 3 years or 7 years or 9 years, or whatever it's been, this team is not going to win with tic-tac-toe beautiful plays all the time. This team's going to win with some ugly goals. And in order to do that, you need to get the puck off the forecheck, which we've done well. I think we have, and go low to high and get pucks to the net. And listen, there's a reason why the far pad net drive drill, it works at every level, is because there's no way to defend it as a goalie, right, Dwayne?
I think it's something that's undervalued too. You don't see it enough in hockey at all levels. I think I used to pound that into my kids' heads from the bench all the time.
Every time I run a team practice, Dwayne, I still do the far pad net drive drill.
You should at all levels, man. It used to drive me nuts. It's like you have guys on terrible angles trying to go top corner, and it's just like, buddy,
that's a breakout pass going the other way.
That's such a low percentage chance, and your chances of even hitting the net from that angle are very low. Just honestly, soft shot to that far pad, and honestly, just yell net, and have your guys drive, and the rebound's there 9 times out of 10. It really is.
So one thing I wanted to bring up is in Lindy's media scrum after the last game, he was quoted as saying his best players need to be his best players. It's something that I've said all the time as a head coach when I was a head coach, and he's not wrong. But it's easy to say that when your top line is missing its best players. Listen, you're not going to replace Jack Hughes and what he brings to their lineup, okay? There's no way that happens. In the same way that we look at, you're not going to replace what Jack Eichel brought to this lineup, right? You have to find ways to adapt, and that's where I love Donnie's approach as a coach. The best coaches I ever played for were the ones that were able to adapt. And I was lucky to play for 2 guys that are now NHL head coaches, and DJ Smith, who coaches the Ottawa Senators, and Bobby Bugner, the Boogie Man. Dwayne, that's going to be on our bucket list of interviews. We got to get him on. But they always preached those simple concepts. And you know what drill we did every Thursday, Dwayne, before we started our weekend?
Tell me. I want to hear
it. Far pad net drive, baby. And it's amazing because those guys are now head coaches in the show. You see a young Ottawa Senators team that's trending in the right direction. God damn it, I love Brady Tkachuk. He gets me 6 to midnight in a hurry. Did you guys see that clip from earlier at the end of the game? Spin Chicklets put it out where there was a dirty hit. Oh, it's great. I recommend every listener to go on Spin Chicklets' Twitter account. Somebody took a run. The Rangers were beating the Senators 3-2 late. Brady went right after the guy. Fucking loved that. Got right in his face washed him. That's not going to be allowed. And I see a little bit of that in our lineup. Listen, one other thing I wanted to bring up, John Hayden. Not a huge fan of his foot speed, not a huge fan of anything he brings to the table. What's your guys' take, Steve? I'll throw it to you. Who's the healthy scratch tonight?
I believe it's Cody Eakin who is out of the lineup, and that's why Murray got the call up. But I thought Murray would be the one getting subbed in place, but it is John Hayden instead. But the one stat when John Hayden was first signed that I saw that stood out beyond anything on his sheet were the penalty minutes, which leads me to believe that sometimes he can be a little bit combative.
He's a heavy in this league for sure. And I think it's something that we've lacked for a long time. And listen, I get that the game's changing. We've all talked about that. But listen, we go back to, remember the whole thing with the Rangers and that game against, I forget who, it was against Washington. And when Wilson did whatever he did to the Breadman Pasta, they picked up Revo for a reason, right? Like, there is room for fighting in this game. Now, with that being said, it's not like it was 10 years ago when there was roster spots, 4 guys that could fight and not play the game. You got to be able to play the game. And a guy like John Hayden, I just would like to see him get in. If you're not going to fight, which you don't need to, like, you're there in case it happens, but get in and create some havoc, right? And get in and finish your hit on that defenseman on the forecheck, because you're not going to play a ton. Dwayne, what can you see out of that fourth line? I have the lineup right here. We have Kajula, Rustalainen, and John Hayden. What do you want to see out of them tonight?
I guess again against a struggling Devils team, you want to see them, really match up. And honestly, I feel like this is our bottom 6 is where you can definitely take advantage of a team like the Devils, because let's be real, all 4 of our lines, there isn't a ton of talent separation in between each line. So I see a guy like Rustalainen on our 4th line, a guy who plays a lot of speed, has a great shot, a lot of skill there, ton of speed. I want to see them really take it to the Devils, no matter who they match up against. I think that's a line for me tonight that could be a team. It could be a team that could possess the puck a lot, could draw a lot of penalties, and you know what, create a lot of havoc for this new rookie goaltender.
Look, if it's me, I kind of want to see one of the two people on R2's wing be replaced by Murray at like last minute scratch, because one, Brett Murray and R2 Ruotsalainen have chemistry from playing together in Rochester all last year. But you want to know where Brett Murray makes his money on the ice? Right in front of the goalie. That dude is huge. And if you want to cause havoc, there is no bigger havoc you could put on the ice than big Brett Murray. That dude knows exactly how to plant. He knows how to tip it in, and there is nobody getting him out of that crease, not without drawing a penalty, and then you got a power play. Who doesn't love that? That's a way to finish. Just ask Olofsson.
Well, you know what? Going back to that, guys, we can't not talk about Will Butcher's return to New Jersey.
True.
Right after the Devils signed Dougie Hamilton on day one of, it's usually, what is it, July 1? I know it's been messed up.
Yeah, it was the 28th this year.
Signed him. They traded Will Butcher and a 5th-round pick to the Sabres for future considerations. I think it's funny because you don't see that anymore, right? I was traded for future considerations once, and it made me feel like the biggest piece of shit in the world, right? Hey, pack your bags, Cody. I'm like, hey, what I get traded for? A 5th, a 6th, you know? Nah, future considerations. It's like, oh my God, I suck.
He can't even get it.
Coach is going asset back. Coach of that team's going to take the other guy out for a steak dinner.
Kid
is that a future consideration?
2030 draft pick. No, but I don't know. Will Butcher getting back to Newark. Hey, they basically said, listen, we don't want you. Fuck you. We picked out Dougie Hamilton. They're not comparables, but you're the odd man out. Smell you later. We'll trade a bag of pucks for you. You know what? I'm not all tummy sticks about these, reunions and I don't know. I wasn't at the game. Were either of you at the game when against Arizona when what's his name? Larson and Carter Hutton came back?
Yeah, I was there, but Hutton didn't get to start that night. It was some no-name guy.
Carter Hutton, it's tough, right? Like, what are you going to show him giving up seven goals on 8 shots? I mean, I don't know. That was funny. I'm sorry. But was there any recognition of them at all?
I think there was a little bit more booing when Arizona got their lone goal because I believe Larson had the assist on it. So that might have been a little bit of an extra. Damn, that sucks. But other than that, Carter Hutton didn't touch the ice, so he didn't get a standing boovation.
What I want to talk to you guys
I don't think people would have booed him, though. I don't think people boo Carter Hutton. Why?
Well, I mean,
don't kick a guy when he's down.
Yeah, that's where you hope that people have some respect. Question about the goaltending. On back-to-back nights with a 40-year-old goalie, it's going to be tough for Craig to play. And I could be wrong there. Craig could say, hey, fuck you, Call. I'm ready to go. But it looks like we're going with Takarsky.
We're getting Takarsky in that.
And going back to your 60% comment, Dwayne, I would love to see that, right?
This is a game you definitely want to see him win.
Listen, remember we talked about last year, Montreal. I said this early on in the season when we had the interview with Montreal Sportsnet guy. Remember what I'm talking about? I'm terrible with names.
Eric Engels.
Yes, and he did Spin Chicklets right after he did us. And I said one of the things that I thought made Montreal a better club, especially in that condensed season, was the pickup of Jake Allen. Jake Allen's been a stud ever since he got to Montreal, right?
Well, they're 0-5 right now.
Well, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on there. They didn't have a look. Hey, how's Tampa Bay doing, Dwayne?
That's true. Yep. Yeah.
Like we're in that weird. They're finally back to a regular start schedule, but the teams that played in the finals had even less time than any team ever before, right?
Correct.
Now, my point being is, I don't even know how many games Jake Allen's even played. The game that who even played against us in that starting game? Never even heard of that guy. Might as well have been me or you, buddy.
Might
Like,
as well
fuck.
been, yeah.
I'm just saying, Takarsky's got to find a way to, hold UPL at bay if he wants to stay in this league. I personally, I want UPL to develop at this point. Unsure of what's best for him. I'm sure in his mind he wished he would have done a little bit better in his preseason affairs so that he would have gotten that nod. Because in a year where you're going to have
Keeps him hungry, though.
back-to-back,
Keeps him hungry.
yeah, but that's my point, right? Like if it goes the other ways and he steps in, fuck, on a day that or on a week that Craig has a tough stretch, fuck, there you are. You're in the league and you have your chance. Now you're gonna need an injury or a couple months of outstanding play on your end. You know what I mean? So tough to see that. Would have loved to seen him earn that job out of camp. Instead, we don't. We have Nico Dawes versus Dustin Takarsky. Never been a huge fan of Takarsky, but being a little guy, he does do a good job of getting outside the crease, have active hands. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on him? And then I'll throw it to you, Steve, for your saying.
Like I said, just keep the play in front of you. Keep your hands out in front of you. Don't give up those goals that slip through your body tonight. Especially again, you're missing a guy like Jack Hughes. That's such a huge advantage for Buffalo. And not to mention, dealing with Nico Dawes down at the other end is make his NHL debut. Just keep things simple. When it comes to your puck tracking. Be constant in communication with your defenseman in front. Try and make things as easy as you can possible. And like I said, just keep it simple. Yeah, I mean, I can't, against a team like this, especially with how well he played. I believe it was against Arizona. Arizona was his win, I believe.
Yeah,
Steve.
Yeah, that was his win.
He played very well. So
you only let him win.
Yeah, if you play that same simplified game,
give your team a chance, baby.
Yep, give your team a chance. Keep yourself outside your paint, like you'd like to say, Cully. Only white, and I think we'll be okay tonight. I could see us winning this game like 4-2.
Two things I wanted to throw at you guys. Okay, Rasmus Asplind. He's earned the trust of Donnie because he's led the Sabres forwards in ice time. He had close to 4 seconds away from 19 minutes last night. The goals haven't come yet outside of an empty netter. But going back to the Devils, Ty Smith, a young guy, had a phenomenal rookie season last year with 2 goals and 24 assists. He draws back in now. Granted, he draws back in on the last pair. I think Lindy's always been, his approach has been to ease guys back in the lineup, right? But
correct.
Hopefully he doesn't, shove it up our hoop. But he's a talented player. Want to read one quote, okay? The Sabres have allowed goals, the first goal in 3 consecutive games, something that Granato obviously preaches against. And when asked about it, Dylan Cousins had this to say. It's a lot in the way Donnie coaches. We know mistakes are going to happen. We know it's not always going to go our way. We just try as hard as we can to put that stuff behind us. A bad shift, a bad turnover, put it behind you and move on. Learn from it and keep the positive things going. And I that sticks out to me for one reason. Listen, you cannot control the past. You can only control the future. I tell my goalies, just like I told myself, it's all about the next save. Doesn't matter if I just let him go from center ice or if I just made the best save of my career. It's about the next save. For them, Donnie preaching that next shift mentality. Love to hear that. But I do think that this is a team that needs to come out and get in front of teams. Dwayne, what do you have on that? Like how big of a role does that play for them? I think it's going to be huge for us to jump out and get that first goal.
I mean, you always want to set the tone early on, and again, this is a team I think you can. Like I said, you don't have to be pretty to start this game. Get pucks on net, you know what I mean, and get bodies to the net, and again, make him feel uncomfortable and get that first goal. And I personally, like I said, I love it when teams play aggressively against young goaltenders, especially ones that are making their debut. If you got to take a penalty, take a penalty. Really make them feel uncomfortable, whatever. Like, make some contact, right? Baby, make some contact. Don't hurt him. Don't knock him over. Make some contact.
I could smell his fucking his deodorant because he lived on top of me, man.
Yeah, exactly.
No wonder they fucking scored 20 goals on me. I love that. I love that from you, Dwayne. Wanted to ask you quickly, Dwayne, about Evander Kane and what's going on with him in the Leafs. Give us.
This guy, and I was listening to the new Andrew Peters Craig Reve podcast earlier after the whistle, and this guy really, honest to God, and I hate saying this, man, because I love the way he plays the game. You know what I mean? Who doesn't like watching Evander Kane, the hockey player? The human being sucks. Evander Kane, the human being, sucks. All these allegations from his ex-wife, when it comes to the kid and this and that. Let me finish. It's like while you always want to believe the victim, you always take things with a grain of salt. With that being said, what is Evander Kane's track record when it comes to making decisions off the ice? It's pretty terrible. One time, again, this guy flew in.
Put $100,000 on red.
Yeah. This guy one time spent thousands of dollars to have his Lamborghini flown into LA or whatever, just so he could drive it around for 2 days. He missed practice once with Buffalo because he went to a Raptors game the night before and couldn't get back in time. He helicoptered his way back. The stuff with the Jets, not refusing to obey the dress code with the Jets, that the issues he had with Dustin Buffalo there. And then obviously the allegations of sexual assault here in Buffalo. And now these the guy, he is the common denominator in a really long list of allegations and bad decision making. And at some point you have to be held accountable for the things that you do. And now this stuff with the COVID vaccine card and that's
fucked up.
That's 21 game suspension. And now,
how do you come up in your brain? Just come out and say you don't want the vaccine. And
you gotta get the fake vaccine card.
You know that? What's that movie where it says like it's got the big guy and it's like I am Steve, 5 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The bench warmers.
Yes, that's what I
great
think
movie.
Of. I am Evander came up with.
5 years old.
Yeah. I honestly think that.
Vaccinated.
Look, I think it's just because of all of these other looming issues and allegations looming around Evander Kane, that when he tried to throw this clearly fake vaccine card into the mix, it's like, okay, now we have something that we can tangibly prove you fucked up, and we're going to throw the book at you, bud. We can't get you definitively on any of this other sketchy stuff that's circling around you, but you definitely did this, and we're going to let you feel it for the full extent that we can.
Not defending Evander Kane. I'm with you guys on all of that. Because how do you think that is a good idea to try to fake a vaccination card in one of the most liberal states in the country? In the NHL, which is a fucking national hockey league, is beyond me. But I will say in the lawsuits with his ex-wife, a lot of that stuff's been disproven. Doesn't make him not a shitty person. He might as well be a shitty person. I don't know him personally outside of one or two run-ins with him where he was clearly under the influence of maybe multiple substances. Not going to get into that. But, Dwayne, wanted to tee you up on the Leafs here. I know we're coming up close to start time. Love to see the jersey throw early. Love to see it.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring the picture up from the tweet I sent earlier. It says, things are not agreeing with me today, unfortunately. But, yeah, I can't believe you had a jersey on the ice this early into the season in Toronto. That's just like, to me, it's like, why? Like, why? For what reason? Like you guys still have a stacked team. That team is too good to not eventually figure it out. You know what I mean? Tavares, Matthews, Marner.
I disagree.
It's just that team is too good.
Can I tell you why I disagree?
Why?
I think they brought in Tavares for the wrong reasons. I think you gave out a lot of money to a lot of forwards, and they're good players. Do they deserve that money? Not doubting that. But is the chemistry there? Now, I might just disprove myself. I think the reason they lose that series against Montreal is because Tavares was injured, right? And
I think Carey Price played out of his mind.
But Jack Campbell did too, bro. Jack Campbell had better numbers over the series.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. 100% he did. But
so But are they built the right way? Like you're paying a lot of guys, maybe 4 guys, what is it, 50% of the cap? I just think that they listen. Dubas is his job is on the line. I don't care what you say. If Toronto media, it's if they don't get out of the first round, if they don't make at least a push this year, Dubas is gone. And listen, you got to remember,
He has to be, right?
Dubas was the GM in Sault Ste. Marie for 3 years when I played in the Western Conference. I played against Dubas. He built a very good club. He traded for Jack Campbell. And, well, Windsor just – I don't know if Windsor realized that they could get nothing for me, like future considerations, and they got the biggest haul at the OHL at the time. They got 16 picks or players for Jack Campbell. But
we got it.
This is – you got to think that the clock is ticking for his job, no?
Yeah, you have to believe it, man, to have a team this stacked for this long and to not get past the first round. Eventually, you have to send shockwaves through the organization and have some type of culture change and show, especially to the players. If a guy who's built a team like that Maple Leafs team that has that much firepower, if his job isn't safe, man, nobody's job is safe, and that really will put people at attention in that organization. It just blows my mind. I know they're cursed. I know that's. I love like laughing at the expense of Toronto Maple Leafs. Anybody who knows me knows that. Anybody who listens to the show knows that. But it's just like, really? Like right here, a jersey is already on the ice, and we're really already there. Like I said in the tweet, we've been the worst run. We, as in the Sabres, have been the worst run franchise, not just in hockey, but all pro sports for over a decade. But I can't remember the last time I saw a Sabre jersey thrown on the ice. So that's a positive, I think. Like, maybe.
Go ahead.
Like, it's just like I've been to. Dude, I can't count on all of my fingers and all of your fingers and toes how many Sabres games I've been to in the last 5 years. But I will say this: I've never, ever seen a jersey thrown on the ice. And trust me,
we could throw the Mogilny jersey that got fucked up with the colors.
Oh my God, that jersey, man! That jersey. I gotta tweet a picture of that out later.
Please do. I intend to get it fixed. But looking at tonight's game, guys, you have Pavel Zacha, Nico Hischier, and Jesper Bratt, Igor Shkanovic, all these guys, along with Thomas Tatar, that they are looking to make an impact and get back on the right side of the schneid. And I would love to see us shut them the fuck down. Now, do we have the lineup to do it? Damn straight we do. But we have to stick to our game plan, which is keep it simple, play fast through the neutral zone, protect from the net out, make the right decisions in the game, don't go out early, get pucks on net, especially when Nico does first start with traffic. Anything else you guys want to throw at that?
Like I said, just don't really change anything you've done in the last 4 games. Even against the Bruins, man. The Bruins are just a more talented team. They have so much more elite talent on that squad, and I think that's really what the difference was.
Let me ask you what if we had Jokiharju in Middlestat and Dahlin makes a simple play up the wall there instead of trying to go back to his partner who was clearly fucking covered and beaten, and knowing that we had his winger up the boards on his strong side, all he had to do is throw it up his forehand. Go back and watch it, folks, if you don't believe me. It's on the replay of the first goal. You'll see it. You'll see the fucking winger just above the half wall. All Dahlin had to do instead of overhandling is just put it up the boards. If you let in a first goal against teams of that caliber, it's going to be hard for us to come back. Now, if we play the way that we played against Montreal, Arizona, and forget the other game,
Vancouver,
if we find a way to keep the game close, score the first goal, or not get behind that early, I think we're going to have success. I really do. More success. And what does success mean? For me, it means not being a bottom tier team in the league, right? Because right now we're second in the Atlantic, boys. Are we 4 games in? Sure. Okay. But we're only behind Florida. And Florida's no joke, man. Florida's the real deal. I really like them outside of their Balrossi contract. Dwayne, that's a talk for next episode. I don't want to get you fired up on that.
I'm picking them to win the whole thing.
I love
the whole thing in the East, honestly.
I love Florida right now, man, and I'm happy for Sam because and I fucking love Sam. I'm so pissed we traded him. Fuck. But it is what it is. But I'm gonna leave it with this. You have the NHL getting back to normal, right?
Correct.
I think this is the first year where we're seeing things really get back into normal. I didn't expect the stands to be full. I know with the vaccine mandate, maybe that accounts for 1,000 or two, but I don't remember ever in my life that arena being half empty. With that being said, the fans that have been there, couple clicks for you because you have shown.
That's me. That was me.
I'm in there. Me and Steve, home opener.
Game 1, baby.
No, but a couple clicks for the fans that have shown up and fucking done their job and turned 7,000 into sounding like 17,000. Okay.
Hey, I tweeted out yesterday if the Buffalo could find a way to not just beat the Bruins but embarrass Ullmark with 4 or more goals, I was on the hook. I was gonna buy a Craig Anderson jersey. I'm angry I wasn't able to, but
Thanks,
what
Craig.
I really wanted out of that game last night. I wanted to hear the "Oh Mark, oh Mark, oh Mark, you suck."
It's all your fault.
It's
all your fault.
Man, you did one too many all marks. Sorry. I'm with you, Steve. You had it right. Fuck you, Dwayne. No, okay. Let me throw it to you guys. Predictions for tonight. I want to get who's getting the first goal for the Sabres and your score prediction.
Personally, I kind of think that this matchup, it's incredibly similar on both sides. Both teams are made up of a lot of young talent, really trying to prove their sauce. The Devils are also in a situation where a lot of those players haven't been able to play together the way that they have until this season began. My little brother's actually a huge Devil fan, so I hear a lot about their development and their side of the situation. So I know a lot more about New Jersey than I ought to. But that said, the matchup is incredibly similar. But if I had to pick somebody just based on last night, it's Dylan Cousins all the way. He is too hungry and too hot right now to not finally bury his first of the year. So my money's on Dylan Cousins for the first goal for Buffalo.
And score outlook?
It's definitely going to be a 1-goal game. Obviously, I hope it's going to be Buffalo. I would say it's going to be a 3-2, and I hope it's in Buffalo's favor.
Dwayne, who do you got, babe?
I'm going to go 4-2 Buffalo. I think Takarsky's going to have a solid game. I think we're going to keep their chances at very limited. I hope. But I see Dylan Cousins having a multi-point night, 2 goal, maybe a goal and a couple of apples. And I'm looking at another guy too. I think Arttu Ruotsalainen against a team like this, a guy he has jets, and his boots are phenomenal. I think that he's going to beat, whoever they match that line up against. I really think he's going to really drive puck possession and create a lot of havoc around this rookie goaltender, Nico Dawes. And I think he's going to get on the score sheet too. I'm looking at another multi-point night for Arttu Ruotsalainen.
All right, I got the Sabres winning 4-1 with an empty netter. I got Will Butcher scoring in his return to New Jersey. Feel it. And it's a risky pick. The puck drop is down 19-37 in the first. This has been episode 74.
Hey, real quick, before we
wrap up. Fire it up.
Because you haven't been here since we've seen hockey on both ESPN and TNT. Can we just talk about how much night and day difference the presentation has been since both these platforms have taken over hockey? Unbelievable.
I've been a big fan of TNT. I'm a Bissonnette guy. Him and Gretz been great. With that being said, tonight we'd be remiss not to remind you that on ESPN Plus at 10 o'clock, the Kraken make their home debut. I watched a couple really cool videos.
I can't wait.
That's just a really cool rink, man. Other scores from around the league. Right now, you got the Ducks leading the Wild in the second, 3-2. Avalanche, Lightning starting right now. Panthers, Flyers starting right now. Hurricanes, Blue Jackets starting right now. Red Wings, Canadians starting right now. Maple Leafs, Penguins starting right now. Predators, Jets starting right now. You got a lot of good hockey.
Big Saturday night for hockey. And one thing I wanted to touch on too, because one thing we've talked about is when Ovechkin and that season opener, he had 2 goals that night. and they brought in Ovechkin. They had the great one in the bottom corner talking about the play and breaking it down, and there's Ovi just losing his fucking mind after he scores. Every single goal is like his first in the NHL, and if anyone is in disbelief that this guy isn't going to break the Great Ones record, you are out of your mind. He is off to another hot start. Scored again last night. This guy is, I think it was last night, or did they have a day game today? I don't know. I saw it earlier today. But, like, they had 3 unanswered goals.
No, it was a day game. They definitely – he scored, too. He had an apple as well.
Just the guy they gave him so much space coming down the wing on an odd man rush. If you give Ovechkin that much space coming down the wing with speed, he's scoring 9 times out of 10. And the one time he doesn't score, he's hitting the post. Like, it's just – like, the guy's just so fucking good.
So they lost in overtime against the Flames 4-3, but you have Ovechkin with his 5th of the year, and he also had an assist on Faharvari. Let's take it to the game, guys. Been an unbelievable show. Glad to be back. Dwayne, thanks for working around my schedule. Big game goaltending. Any young goalies, hit me up.
And just remember, this is brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. I will go there before every Sabres and Bills game. Whenever I go to my boy Greg Day's house, Dazer. Sit in the man cave. We have a cup of adult soda pops, but around the corner, over there near Dick Road, is Outlet Liquor. Make sure you get over there, get all of your adult beverages.
What's your outlet?
The place to buy a case. Don't haste. But this has been episode
74.
Go ahead.
You were
all over the place. It's been too long. Wrong place.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
What are we yelling about?
Let's go, Sabres.
Let's go,
Episode 74. I'm Cully. For Steve, for Dwayne, let's fucking go.
Let's go, boys.
Let's get it.
I'm out.